Math 140. Here's the second video about week number 2 homework. We're going to talk about analyzing your data. You should have already uploaded a data set to Blackboard. If not, please get that in right away so that you can start in on parts 2 and 3 for the homework. I'm going to go over part 2 right now in this video. Part 2 on the homework. Got 5 questions about your data. Just tell me, hey, why is it interesting to you? Come on, let's see. Some of that stuff like that is very personal, very easy, not math related at all. But then 2, 3, 4, 5. We're getting into some more mathematical concepts. Let's go through an example, and hopefully I'll be able to shed some light on what I'm looking for with part 2 of the homework. So I have a data set here. This is from Jessica, one of the students. She uploaded a data set. Looks like some movies here. I will go through the problems right here, the problems for part 2 in the homework based on Jessica's data set. Couple real quick comments, and trust me, I'm not trying to call out Jessica. It's just little details that hopefully we're all going to be able to see things that go right, things that we need to improve. But here's one thing that I would recommend for Jessica's data set. Number 1 is we need some titles for this data. What do these numbers represent? What are these, and these? I mean, some stuff like this. Hey, those are movies. These look like the companies, but there is some question marks about the data. So that's one thing to be aware of when you're going through data. And the other thing, you'll see something like this. When I first looked at that, I said, wait, is that 2 numbers or 1? For some reason, that number is like folded over in this Excel. So one thing I'd recommend is highlight everything in this data. Highlight all the information that we got here. And on Excel, this box says wrap text. That means for whatever reason, it's folding the numbers in half. I don't want that, so I'm going to click it and turn it off. And then I can actually double click right here. Now all the information, click the movie names and the companies as well. Everything fits nice and neatly in one screen. And I'm ready to go to business. So little details, just to keep in mind so that our data is the most, how do we say it, easiest to work with. Back to the homework issues. Number 1, I think I had mentioned like this. This is a personal opinion. I'm not going to tell you you're right or wrong unless you're really kind of skirting the question altogether. Just tell me why the numbers are interesting for you. Put it all together. Number 2, categorical data is in the data set. How many categorical variables are in the data set? Now, we need to make sure we understand what a categorical variable is. Categorical means, I'll be very basic about it, it's not a number. Those are categorical. I'm looking at these ones right here. So I think we have 2 categorical variables in this case. List them. I'll let you take care of that. Quantitative. List the quantitative. Well, if these are categorical, I think you can see where we're going with quantitative. So I'll put that there because I think you can figure it out. N value for the data set. N in mathematics almost always is going to discuss how many. And in this case, how many what? How many things that we're measuring. Looks like we're measuring movies in this case. Well, different things about the movies, but we're dealing with this many movies. Oh my goodness, it popped up. Not sure where that came from. Sorry about that. How many movies are we dealing with right here? If I highlight them all, down in the bottom of Excel, on at least my version of Excel, it tells me how many. In this case, 32. So I could pop in here and just type in 32. Quantitative variables. It tells me to compare them using standard deviation. Now, if you flip through Acrobatic, it describes standard deviation in a little more detail. I'm not going to do that in this video. We'll probably get to that later in the class. But standard deviation, the very quick explanation is how do the numbers spread out? So how do we compare the biggest and the smallest standard deviation, or the spread of the numbers? Well, Excel is very good at doing calculations. In particular, I can calculate a standard deviation for these numbers, and these numbers, and these numbers, and so on and so forth. Let's do that using Excel. At the bottom of the list, so these numbers right here, once again, I'm not sure exactly what those are, how much money in the box office, I'm not sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the standard deviation by typing equals. Getting underneath this list, I hit equals. When you hit equals in Excel, it's starting to think like a computer. It's saying, what do you want? What formula do you want? I say, oh, I want the standard. So I step STD, sort of an abbreviation. And it gives me a bunch of standard deviation formulas. I'm going to go for the STDEV. Another way to do it would be STS. STDEV-S. You can pick either one. They might be different on a small degree, but it's really no concern for us. Standard dev, and that parenthesis says, hey, go ahead and tell me the numbers. Well, I want all of those numbers. whoop, right there. I finish up the parenthesis. I clicked and I dragged. I finish up the parenthesis, and I hit equal, and it gives me a standard deviation. Very big number. My guess is these numbers are a little smaller. So I hit equal stdev. Go for my stdev, double clicked it, and I highlight all those numbers, close up the parenthesis, and I'm good right here. So you're going to go through all of those, and you can say the greatest standard deviation is da 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 da. You'll finish that. Smallest standard deviation is, and you'll give me a number. Those two comparisons, those two standard deviation comparisons, you can do on Excel using the formula. Very last thing about, excuse me, part 2 on the homework, part 3 will come, is I'm asking categorical, describe it using the mode. Mode, once again, you should be familiar with these terms. If not, Acrobatic might give you a quick description. Mode is most frequent. So if I'm looking at, say, the companies, which one is the most frequent? Which one shows up the most there? It might be hard to tell here. So maybe some things you could do would be sort and filter. So if I sort these, you'll see they order them up, and now it's a little easier to count how many, to count the mode. I'm going to hit this undo button here because obviously I'm sort of scrambling up the data, and I don't want to do that. I just sorted them for simplicity in this case, and then I go back to normal. Hit the undo button, and I'm right back to normal. So that's a shortcut to help you find the mode. So most frequent is, and then you can type in the answer. So that's just a quick overview of how you're going to solve part 2 on the homework. Part 3, hey, look at that, some graphs. We'll have a chance to, I will post a second video outlining how to get some graphs in Excel. But first things first, make sure those data sets show in. Another video coming soon.